So today what we're gonna do is we're gonna make some abstract art. What I've done here already is I made this square piece of paper. What I did is I took one of these rectangle printer papers and then I folded it like this, cut it, and then I folded it to the other direction so that I can see where this midpoint is. Now that I've got this midpoint, I know where I'm aiming. So this is where we're aiming to go. So the idea here is that we're creating a feeling of movement, a feeling of sinking as we go to the middle. So we're going to start from the edges and we're going to build this so that we're going to end up in the middle. So it's quite handy to know where the middle is. And as you can see, the middle is right here. So what I've done so far already is I've done these edges because I quite like it to have some edges, so black and white. And what we're going to now start doing is just building our picture. So this is going to be all just black and white. And start building it from the edges. And what you need is some kind of a quite a sharp black pen to do this, and you're gonna do these lines with even distances to start with. Doesn't need to be exact, but as long as it's approximate. And there. You can sort of decide a bit yourself where you want to put these and how you want to put them. Like for example, here I put like 90-degree angle. Here I'm going to put something a little bit different. It's probably best if in the beginning you keep the lines with similar distances. So depending on how far you are from the center, just try to keep the lines at similar distances. So there we go. So what I mean is that as you're approaching to the center, stuff that is here is approximately the similar width. And what we're going to do here is we're just going to go around and we're going to approach from all the corners. There we go. All right, so we're continuing and going closer and closer. So you don't have to have always the same amount of lines. You can just vary depending on how you want your picture to look like. So we are building this picture from the edges. Okay, and then let's do the last one a bit like that. There. So what we keep doing is just building it up. Let's put a bit less there. Okay. So then we sort of have a little bit of a start here. And what we need to do then is to start building on that start. We've got here more lines coming up with different angles. And what you can do is to then little by little start bringing the distance, maybe a bit less. You don't need to do it yet. We will get to it at some point. Okay, so we've got now there. You could just to keep the balance, make some here. There we go. There we go. Whoops. My ruler is getting stuck. There we go. Let's just do a few more here. I feel like it's somehow easier to draw because the angle is a bit different on this side. And since we got some in there, let's then go and do some on this side. There we go. Yeah, so I'm keeping the distance similar to what I had at the start. I'm only now starting to bring it in from the edges. Oops, is that gonna go a bit crooked? Let's try. There we go. So as you can see from most of these, if you look at the edges, I'm actually quite close still to the edges. I haven't really brought it in much. So then why don't we just go on to this side where I'm still closest to the edge and start building it in a bit. There we go. So the aim is literally just to keep building the picture until we hit the midpoint. And if you didn't see the beginning of this video, what I did was I sort of did some folds so that I could find the midpoint of this. So this is where we are aiming to go. It doesn't need to be necessarily exactly in the middle where we end up, but I think to start with, it's easier if you've got some sort of a point that you're aiming towards, especially if you're doing this for the first time. And there we go. So we literally just keep repeating. Okay. There we go. Perhaps we need to put some on the other side. I think the start is always perhaps the more difficult. If you wanted, you could just make this very even and just, for example, do these 90-degree angle ones from all the corners and then do the middle bits for it. So just depends on whoopsie, how you like the end result to look. I sort of decided that I want it to look a bit asymmetric. I think it's almost easier to do something that is not too precise. When you try to do something that's very precise, I think, yes, I just find it harder to do it well. There we go. Right, so I think what I will do is I'll bring this a bit more forward, just because I feel like it's a bit behind from the others coming from this end. Yeah, now it looks like I'm a bit further from here, so I don't want to, so I could continue just doing the same straight line as I've got there in here, but I want it to look more asymmetrical. So I'm sort of looking at what angle I had these lines before, and I'm choosing to do a slightly different angle here. There we go. But like I said, this kind of thing is literally just down to preference. What is it that you feel like doing? There we go. So starting to approach the center, so might be a good idea then little by little for me to start making a bit smaller smaller gaps here. But this one is still quite wide. There we go. So I think let's start building that little by little to something a bit smaller. So I don't know if you realize now, but what I've done, so these are now a bit smaller, and rather than taking it down to half a number, I am now taking up to the end of those centimeter marks in my ruler so that I can get it approximately even. I'm not trying to do it very even, but approximately, like I said. Let's do a little bit more. There we go. And then we definitely need some lines on this side because, as you can see, there's our center and we are much further away from the center on this side. There we go. Perhaps a few more. And as you can see, sometimes I bring it in more, so there's many more lines there than there is, for example, there. So it just depends on how you want it to look like. Just a personal preference. So I think I will continue with this sized gaps until I get quite close to the end, just so that I can sort of feel like I've gone around from all the angles with that sort of width. So I've got there, got here, I've got there, and I think that is also looks to my eye like that is already a bit narrower, so I'm just going to continue with that. There we go, giving you that feeling of things are sort of moving and everything just sort of gets smaller as you get in the middle. There we go. And then let's put some in here as well before we start even thinking of reducing the distance again. So for the marker I've chosen Sharpie this time, just because it's well, and it says fine point, just because I feel like I'm getting quite nice neat lines with this. So Sharpie is good for making neat lines. Okay, so now we have some of these narrower gaps here, closer to the middle. I think what I will do is I'll just put a little bit more on this side before I then take that down to another smaller. There we go. Are you already starting to feel like there is this feeling of movement, feeling of sinking, going from outside to inside? Okay, and what I'm doing now is I'm gonna be making this gapless. I'm gonna be doing these half steps. So before, I don't know if you can see very well, but before I was using this 1 centimeter as a marking line, and now I'm making sure that the gap is more like the half a centimeter line. So we keep moving and moving, and again this line, it would be just very tempting to continue, but I'll just make sure that it's not in at the same angle as the previous one. There we go. And then we're turning again. And we're starting again. There we go. And turning, 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 twisting and turning. And we're going to do some more on this side. Okay, now we're really starting to come to the center. And what I would say is I would do even shorter gaps here. There we go. Because it's gonna otherwise end up feeling like it's very crowded in the middle. And we're aiming for that middle spot. Like I said, it does not need to be exactly at the middle spot, but somewhere thereabouts. I think we can almost get there. Let's put the next one on that side. Yes, so it's starting to feel like we are pretty much there. And some from the other side. There we go. What I will do, I'll just draw one in there. And then that means that here in the middle, we've got our middle point. So then the next thing to do is to literally just start coloring. So because this is going to be black and white art, we're just going to choose every second line is going to be black and every second one is going to be white. Yeah. So if I did the middle one as black, would have probably been best to leave it white actually, now thinking about it, but you can do that if you do the similar kind of picture. You can do that for yourself. And there we go, like that. And then you need to sort of decide which ones go black, which ones go white here when you are crossing over to the other one. So I think I will choose to do that as black. No particular reason. I have to admit I have not done this kind of artwork for several years, so I have sort of forgotten what and why. I mean, what would be the best way of doing and why, but we will see it when it's ready, that how it looks like. There we go. So my suggestion to do would be to just sort of do all the ones that are going the same direction. You just keep doing them in one go so that you don't end up getting confused which one should be black and which one should be white. There we go. And let's turn. And for this piece of artwork, I can see that what I've just sort of decided without thinking about it is that most of the ones that are on the inside, it starts from black. Let's see if I will keep that up or if I will at some point flip into doing something different. we go. And literally the similar kind of thing as with other parts. When I was drawing, you just keep turning and coloring and turning and coloring. It's easier that way. Okay, let's do the same there. Some white edges. Okay, let's go for the same one here. And then again black. Right, and one thing that I have not checked is my Sharpie going through? Seems to be going a little bit. I think what I will do is I will take an extra paper. Paper does not want to comply. Does not want to be helpful. There we go. There we go. Okay. Now at least if it goes through to the other paper rather than my drawing mat. Right, what shall we do here? Shall we go for, I think we will go for white. It's quite a big black line there. Just look like my bar is sort of growing from that. Or that is going from this one if I don't start with white. So you can just go and make a really big one out of these. And to be honest, I mean, I've started with the square, but you don't necessarily need to start with the square if you don't want to. You can just do a rectangle, that works as well. Takes a bit more doing in the beginning to get these lines to sort of work. So you might need to think a bit more on how to draw those lines. But I mean, it's still possible to use a rectangle and then find the center of your drawing or your piece of artwork. There we go. And then, yep, I think we will start with black. There's more and more to color as you bring it out. And it's so up to your personal preference. Do you start from the middle? Do you start from the edges? I quite like starting from the edges, but this time I'm going the other way around. Possibly because the Sharpie was so conveniently in my hand, and I'm not quite sure if I will continue all the way to the end using the Sharpie. Let's see. Although I think there are blacks and blacks, so every manufacturer might have a black that looks slightly different shade. So I think it probably ends up looking better if you just stick to the pen that you've got. Might be okay to do your lines with one and then go to another one, but you know, otherwise it might be that your lines look like a different kind of black than your actual blocks of color. Go, we're sort of getting places. Gonna soon have quite a decent part of the picture already colored. Because every second one is white, you will have these bigger stripes to color, but then also your white stripes are bigger, so you feel like you're gaining. There. Right, shall we go on to the other side? Keeping with the theme, keeping it balanced. There we go. And another. There. And let's turn again. What color shall we go with? I think I will do the same as I did on the other side and leave the edge white and then just go in with the black. There we go. There. Oops. Almost did not notice that one. The triangle was so little there in the corner. There we go. And then let's do the one in the next door. Takes a while to color this, and those people who have used Sharpies know that they can be quite stinky. So I feel like I'm here inhaling all the Sharpie smell. Wonder if this would be a divisive question. Who loves Sharpie smell and who does not love Sharpie smell? I think I'm one of those people that I don't mind it for a little while, but I would not like to be smelling this all day. I find it a bit stinky. I like the pens though. I love how easy it is to make this kind of sharp line. I mean, yes, some of it goes through, but if that doesn't bother you, you'll get quite a nice coverage easily. Loads of strong colors. They've got a lot of colors to choose from. And definitely I think Sharpie is the good one for this drawing. So I shall just have to put up with the smell to make a beautiful piece of art. Hopefully. There we go. So as you can see, we're starting to approach the edges from this side. I guess that was quite a long stretch there. So let's turn around and go on to the other edge. I think from that one, we're gonna leave the inner one white and just plow on. As I was doing the lines to this one and that one, you can sort of see that I've messed up the one at the end a bit on a couple of occasions. So I think that is not going to be a difficult decision to make that black. You can hide everything that went a bit funny under all that black color. There we go. There we go, one end. And yes, let's just try not to make any new wobbles. Yeah, shaky hands can be tricky with this. There we go. Okay. And then that black has determined that this needs to also be black. There we go. And let's do the same to the other side. There we go. Right. Taking a look, just sort of stepping back and seeing how it looks like already. Can you start sort of feeling like there's a bit of a drop? Let's continue. I think we shall do that white and this black. There we go. And then I feel like milking that black. There. And the other end also needs a little bit. Okay. Oops. Let's not forget that one. There. There we go. Yeah, just turning it around. Like that. Then I need to decide what other colors to put. Yeah, I think perhaps let's put black again. It's not like it should be a difficult one. I mean, I just have these two colors. It's eeny, meeny, miny, moe. What color do I feel like putting in this one? I don't think there's wrong ideas, just different decisions. There we go. And then, oh, I seem to be blind to these little triangles. There we go. Then let's do that one. And shall we go for black again? Yes. Black, let's do black. we go. And now we are sort of at the edge. And what I tend to do is I just sort of go all the way to the edge. It's up to you if you want these lines on the side. I don't what I mean with the lines on the side, I mean these. I like having a little bit of something that looks like a frame, rather than having this whole thing just sort of floating. Yeah, if you want to do one of these, just decide what you think is the best, what suits you the best. Okay, and then there's just a little bit more. Shall we do that next? Let's just go again all black for the edge. Whoop. Almost had a wobble there, but it's pretty much patchable. Doesn't show too bad, and did not slip too badly. I was trying to do it too fast because it's such a big area. Well, it feels like a big area compared to the other these smaller ones. There we go. Let's try and make it even so that it doesn't look like I've forgotten to color some parts of it. There we go. And another. There we go. There. Only a few to go. And let's go black again. There. All the way to the end. Oops. There you go. Oh. And then the other end. There. Right. And what shall we do with this? Shall we do the same? Shall I go with black? Or maybe I'll just do the opposite. That will leave me white in the corner. There we go. There. So now we've sort of reached all the way to the corner on one side, and then it's just a question of doing the other. So why don't we do this one next? And what I will do is I think I will do the same as in the other corner. So looking from the corner, I will leave the other corner white as well. And then I'll just need to decide what I will do to the other two corners. Let's see how it looks like. Oh my, this Sharpie really does smell. There we go. There. And then the second last as well. There. Okay, so now we've already gone all the way to the end on 2 sides. Go, almost ready, just the 2 left. So what I will do here is go black, and white and another black. There we go. That felt fast. And then turning to the last corner. And that will be matching the other corner. So what I didn't actually realize is that I'd made that and that quite short and these similarly long, the same amount of stripes. I guess in the beginning I was just choosing from 3 or 4 stripes and just kept using it all the way. There's only, I think, that one that's got more lines. There we go. So that is our abstract art piece. Does it make you feel at all like falling? Does it make you feel at all like your eyes are moving rather than just stopping into one place? There we go. That is our piece of art for today. Thank you very much for everybody who's been there. I appreciate really much that you've been here and you've stuck with me. Thank you very much. Just leave your comments. Let me know. Is this the type of art that you want to see? Thank you very much. Bye.